And what's wrong with you?
In college football, you play to win. One loss, one injury, one stumble can end your season before it's barely started. But one player's blunder is another player's opportunity, and the next generation is waiting on the sideline, always ready to go. Who will break through? Who will break out? And who will be playing for the national championship? We're breaking down the next generation on Inside College Football next. Hey there, welcome. It's Inside College Football Next Generation. I'm Brent Stover alongside legendary Texas linebacker Brian Jones. Ooh, that's what they wrote for me. You know, I can't go off telling
was in the process, right?
Three-time SEC Coach of the Year, Houston Nutt, and the SEC's all-time leader in passing yards and touchdowns is former Georgia star Aaron.
That's a legend now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not like you. I'm trying to get like you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to dress like you, actually.
No. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane.
With only one man can pull that off in this entire country. With the 2018 season less than a week away, we're breaking down who's going to replace last season's stars and who's going to break out this year. Fellas, and we'll start with you, Coach. What's it like for a player who's been waiting on the sidelines to finally get his chance?
You know, a player that's gone through scout team for a full year. And then they go to off season and they're nudging me, Coach, it's my time now. It's my time to be out on the field. I've done this scout team for everybody else. I'm ready to play. And then there's something about when the lights come on the very first time, it's like, ooh, it is time to play now. So they got to get ready.
But there's a difference between being a guy and the guy. When you're a guy, you
and make plays. And that's what Tua Tagovailoa was able to do in that ball game. He made plays that Jalen Hurts was not making, and ultimately they got the victory because of Tagovailoa.
No question. I think you have to give Coach Saban a lot of credit, too, to make that call after, you know, you look at Jalen Hurts, his body work, he's done very well, no question about it. But that game, you needed something to happen. Something needed to change, and Tua comes in and just does an outstanding job.
See, I think this was decided a long time ago. I think this was decided mid-year last season, just whispers within that camp, within practice. Tua was the guy. Receivers are walking, and as a quarterback, the last thing you want to see is Jalen throws a pass. It's a bad ball. It skimmers or it flies. Receivers putting their hands in the air, but Tua, just such a natural thrower. He's comfortable in the pocket. I think the players on that team, from the receivers to the running back to the offensive linemen, they believe in him. When he steps in that huddle, like, this guy can make plays with his arms. He showed he can make plays with his legs too. So I don't see a competition. I'm not worried about it. This is Tua's team going forward, and we'll see that week one.
And to your point, players know.
Yeah.
You know when a guy can come in and make a difference. You see him. And the coaches, they know as well. Like, oh, there's something a little different about him. There's a little different spiral to his football. And the receivers, it seems like they don't have to adjust as much when he's spinning it to them. So
the question is going to be, though, how does Nick Saban, does he change his offensive mold? Is he going to be that run and pound, run the ball 30, 40 times a game, or is he going to open it up? I mean, you got talented receivers. You got a talented quarterback who actually can throw the football now. So it's going to be interesting. Are they going to be a team scoring 40 points and not trying to play defensive football?
I think you got to be careful again now, guys, because Jalen Hurts, he's won a lot of football games now.
26-2.
He's 26-2. And that doesn't go enough.
Coach, you got to be honest as well,
Well,
right?
okay,
If you can be loyal to a fault.
Right, but that's halftime. Halftime looked pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm talking about taking it over a full game, every situation, the whole deal. Let's let it play out.
All right, Clemson made their third straight playoff berth last season, and first with Kelly Bryant under center. But now the Tigers have welcomed quarterback Trevor Lawrence to Death Valley, the #1 recruit in the country. Lawrence is anything but a typical freshman QB. Coach, how long should it be before we see the next generation for the Tigers?
Again, guys, I'm going to go back now. We had a guy that followed Deshaun Watson, right? He was 12-2. Threw for over 2,800 yards. I thought he did an outstanding job. And also, don't forget, he can extend the play. When something broke down, his running ability was outstanding. So, hey, Trevor Lawrence, I'm sure he's talented. I hadn't seen him. I heard a lot about this guy. But I would say pump the brakes probably a little bit because Kelly Bryant's outstanding.
No, I think Kelly Bryant probably is going to be the starter heading into the season, but for how long? And we've seen this play out myriad teams. It just depends if you got a freshman over there on the sideline who just has that it factor, as we were just discussing with Tua Tagovailoa. You're going to get him in there, and you're going to see how he handles the pressure of playing big-time.
Well, I think you look at this Clemson team, and in my opinion, one of the most talented teams in this league, in the ACC and in the country. So they're going to win football games. I think you make a change if you're losing, team's not performing, and the quarterback's not performing. I just don't see that happening. I see Clemson just kicking everyone's butt up and down the field. So why take a guy out there that's winning? But it goes back to Alabama.
You hear that, Texas A&M?
Exactly. All right, last season in Aaron's old stomping grounds, Georgia's next-generation QB hit the field earlier than expected when a Jacob Eason injury put freshman Jake Fromm under the gun. The freshman delivered a season for the ages, leading the Dogs to a 13-2 record, SEC championship game victory, and the national title game. They appeared in that and just about won that national title. And Georgia's success on the field has translated to success on the recruiting trail with the signing of Justin Fields, the #2 overall recruit in the country last season, and #1 dual threat quarterback. Coach Kirby Smart has said, we've sold this program on competition, and I think those guys are going to make each other better. Aaron, what should we expect from the quarterback position?
There's more to being a quarterback than just being able to throw passes. There's that leadership factor, and I think what Fromm did last year from a leadership, getting in there, putting in the time in the film room, putting the time in 7-on-7, really taking control of that team. When he walks in that huddle, guys respect him. Guys look up to him. Guys trust that he's going to put them in the right situation. He makes everyone around him a better football player, and that's what you have to do as a quarterback. It's not just going out there and throwing touchdown passes that we see here. He has that. I do think Fields is a better football player. I think he's a better passer. I think he's a better runner. He's a bigger kid. But there's something to say about when you can make a running back better, when you can make your offensive line better, and that's what Jake Fromm can do.
Let's not forget, Fromm, a lot of those games, was only playing about 12 to 14. Throwing the ball 12 to 14 to 16
It's
times.
about those intangibles. I would
Yes.
agree.
Okay, so, Coach, how difficult is it managing the egos of these quarterbacks? Because not just Aaron, you were a college quarterback as well, obviously at Oklahoma State and Arkansas.
It starts back in that living room, and that's where you got to really be very, very honest with the quarterback. It's really hard sometimes when you're in that living room. That young man's thinking, "Am I going to play? Am I going to start?" Now you just had a quarterback. Now there was a young quarterback that came in and did an outstanding job of doing what things you talked about, Aaron. So I think it's very, very important you're open. You see what happened with Jalen Hurts. When he gets upset because Tua, all of a sudden, he's on the Heisman list.
Right.
So you got to manage that. You got to be honest.
And that's what makes playing sports so great, because you have to not just deal but confront adversity. And that's the key. If you're afraid of competition, don't go here or don't go there. I mean, that's just part of the game.
And we know it's difficult, obviously, to try to establish being a leader on the field and off the field as well. We'll see how it's going to work going forward. When we come back on Inside College, Puma pass. Coach Petrino has called Juwan a natural leader, but how far, BJ, can he lead Petrino's prolific offense this season?
What a great name for a quarterback.
Yeah, let's start
You
there.
better be able to pass. And this guy has shown that he can do that. I think his first ball game, we got action last year versus Kent State. I mean, it is Kent State. We go like 5-6. It leads them down the field. They end up fumbling a pass right there on the goal line with what should have been a touchdown. But they love this guy's demeanor. Now, Mike Petrino gives him a little, let's say, angst about his demeanor because he's laid-back kid. But they drool over his athletic ability. A true dual-threat guy, a better passer than the Heisman Trophy winner, Lamar Jackson. Even Lamar Jackson has said this kid is going to be great. Big, tall kid, 6'5", about 6'6", so he can see over the line, and he's got some talent around him at wide receiver position. So I think he is going to be able to fit in nicely, replacing Lamar Jackson. Will he post those audacious, gaudy numbers? Probably not this first season, but he's got a real good test, that first one versus Alabama. Matter of fact, he turned down Alabama and Auburn and chose Louisville.
All right, with that, out west, USC and UCLA fans are still wondering who their next generation QB will be, with both Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen showcasing their talents on Sundays this season. The Bruins and first-year head coach Chip Kelly have an open competition between last year's backup Devin Monster, Michigan graduate transfer Wilton Speight, and the prize of last season's recruiting class, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Will experience or raw talent be the deciding factor for the Bruins, PJ?
I think it's going to be that raw talent. When Chip Kelly came to the NFL, he said, well, I don't need a running quarterback. I can play with a pro style in this offense. Well, I don't think he's going to necessarily want a pro style in his offense. Maybe Speight wins it because of his experience early on. I'm not so sure. But you look at that freshman coming out of Bishop Gorman, and he's the type that Chip Kelly wants under center.
Well, you want to bring that excitement year one. When you get to a new program, you want to kind of show this is what we're going to be like going forward. We're not that pro-style offense. I know, like you said, they tried in the NFL. That's just not his mold. That's not who he is, especially in the college ranks. So I see more of an athletic quarterback, guy that can get in there, do the read option, all the RPO, read pass option in there as well, and really build for the future. And that starts with year one with this more athletic kid who fits the mold. All
right, across town, the battle to replace Sam Darnold is well underway. Talk about next generation. The Trojans' QB competition includes redshirt sophomore Matt Fink, who backed up Darnold last season, redshirt freshman Jack Sears, and true freshman five-star recruit JT Daniels, who skipped his senior year of high school and enrolled in June. Will a true freshman be under center for the Trojans this season, Aaron?
I think it's going to be JT Daniels. I mean, the last time we saw a freshman start week one at USC was Matt Barkley. I think this kid is tremendous. Obviously, he got there in the spring. He started learning the playbook. Uber talented. I mean, incredibly talented kid, and all signs coming from fall camp. He's been able to really take control of the playbook, take control of the offense. And we talked about confidence not only in the player but the teammates. I think his teammates see it, and the coaches see it. Coach, you'll talk about it as well. The coaching staff sees when guys believe in a certain quarterback. When they go to him to ask questions, when receivers are like, hey, let's get some more routes after practice, the team buys into this kid right now. So I think he's the guy heading in. Even as a freshman, he was going to be starting.
Hey, Aaron, is that part why you started right away as a redshirt freshman? Do you feel like guys just kind of, you had that it factor where they bought into your confidence and your swagger or whatever it was?
It's confidence, but it's also knowing what you're doing. If you go into the play in the huddle and you start spouting out plays, you can't answer questions, guys are like, I ain't going back to him anymore. But it's all about learning that playbook, showing that you're willing to put in time in the film room, in practice. And guys respect that. I mean, they'll easily gravitate to that.
Well, BJ hit on this. You talked about winning the locker room on the field, as you mentioned, too. But it's about being able to execute, to understand, step in that huddle over and over, taking your team and putting them in the end zone without a turnover consistently is going to win the job.
All right, from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten, we'll have two new starting quarterbacks for the game this season as Ohio State's four-year starter J.T. Barrett has graduated, and redshirt sophomore Dwayne Haskins looks poised to take over. In Ann Arbor, meantime, junior Ole Miss transfer Shea Patterson eligible to play immediately. So, who has the higher ceiling, Patterson or Haskins?
That is a great question. I'm going to say Haskins. I like what he brings to the table. Of course,
After 2 seasons in Saquon's shadow, Aaron, is the excitement around Sanders justified?
I think he's a talented kid. I mean, listen, this kid is not Saquon Barkley. That kid, he's special. He can play kickoff return. He's a running back. He can catch the ball. But so can this kid. He can return the ball, averaging just under 7 yards per carry. He's a big kid, 207 pounds, physical. And then you got a great quarterback, too, in Trace McSorley. So you have help. It's not going to be all on his shoulders to go out there and make plays over and over again. But as you see, he's able to elude defenders, make moves, physical kid. And I swear, these running backs just keep getting bigger. We talk about DBs getting bigger. These running backs are getting bigger and bigger every year. They're like fullbacks, and he's a prime example.
some of those moves were Saquon-esque.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, out in the Mountain West, we get to see these guys a lot on CBS Sports Network, San Diego State. It's been fun over the last several years. They look for the third 2,000-yard rusher in the past 3 seasons. Donnell Pumphrey in 2016, Rashad Penny, 27th pick in the draft last season. BJ, will redshirt junior Juwan Washington be able to use his experience backing up Penny and Pumphrey to succeed on his own now?
Listen, San Diego State, the first FBS program to have back-to-back 2,000-yard rushes, going for that third, as you just alluded to. Now, Juwan Washington, he comes a little smaller. Donnell Pumphrey was smaller as well. Rashad Penny a little bigger. I think it's going to be difficult to have 3 in a row, 3 2,000-yard rushes. Man, I'm going to say no, but I don't think they miss a beat running the rock. This is a tough runner, 760 yards rushing last year for Washington behind Mr. Penny.
Aaron, you must have done this rundown because it's a lot of Georgia. Down in Athens, the Bulldogs.
Hey, when they're that good, though, you got to put them on.
Bulldogs have to replace not 1 but 2 backs who will find themselves starring on Sundays this season. Sony Michel and Nick Chubb helped literally carry the Dogs to the CFB title game. Aaron, can sophomore DeAndre Swift and incoming freshman James Cook become the next generation of Bulldog backs?
DeAndre Swift, yes. I mean, we saw it last year. This kid, I mean, he's something special. He's elusive. He has the speed. He has the size, ability to catch the ball in the backfield. I mean, that's smooth. He looks like a receiver out there. And then he just beats you out to the outside just like he did Auburn in the SEC championship game. So between him, Cook, the other Sable running back, Holyfield, and then that offensive line that averages, I don't know, 6'5", 330 pounds. Those guys, along with some great receivers and a veteran quarterback returning, this running game may be better this year just because they have a full package around them.
I said a few years ago that at Georgia, Auburn, you're coming up next. At Georgia, they just sprinkle a little running back fertilizer because they always have a great one.
All right, the Auburn Tigers have 2 gaping 1,000-yard rushing holes on their roster as well, with the departure of Kerryon Johnson and Cameron Petway. But ever since Gus Malzahn came on campus in 2009, the Tigers have had a 1,000-yard rusher every season. BJ, can junior Cam Martin become the 10th straight Tiger to run for a buck for 1,000 yards on the play?
It's going to be difficult, but does he have the ability to do that? Yes. But they got 4 new starters on that offensive line, man. It's going to take a little while for those guys to gel up front. But look out for Mr. Jartavius Booby Whitlow. This man was the man in 2A football there in Alabama. Matter of fact, he almost quit because there are a lot of haters apparently in his little small town there. But Auburn initially recruited him as a safety, and he was leaning towards Tulane because they wanted to put him on the offensive side of the ball. And then Auburn said, well, how about you come here as a wide receiver? Now he's getting some action at running back. This guy can fly.
Well, and you want to talk about keeping an offense balanced, and you want to have the balance between the run and pass where defenses aren't putting that extra guy in the box, a safety, linebacker, whoever it may be. When you have Jared Stidham at quarterback, when you have some talented receivers, you're going to see a little bit more 2 high safeties, cover 4, cover 2, which that's a dream for any OC, any running back to kind of just pound the rock. So that balance, I think, is going to be key to trying to get a guy up to 1,000 yards again.
After the break, on Inside College, the Tide's quarterback battle. Coach, we'll start with you. What do we think of this new crop of receivers in Tuscaloosa?
You got to like them. They've shown signs and glimpses in big games where they make plays, and they're not afraid of a collision. And that's what I like. When a guy's not afraid, he knows he's going to get hit, concentrate the last 6 inches of the football, tucks it away. He's a playmaker.
And these guys are excited. They finally have a quarterback who can throw them the football. I mean,
hold on.
If you're a receiver,
hey, how quickly we forget
I'm just saying
that the incumbent went to 2 straight playoffs.
Listen,
and
I'm not talking
26
about.
and
I'm
2.
not talking. He's saying he's a bad quarterback. I'm saying a quarterback who can throw the football. If you're a receiver, you get a little bit more excited. Like I legitimately can, maybe get 5 to 10 catches this game. Not I'm going to be blocking and Jalen's going to be running around and he's going to run for 10 yards and I got to block downfield. These guys, they're juice, man. They're going to get some more PT. They're going to get some more catches.
I'm with you. And you look at last year, and Jalen Hurts, his security blanket was Calvin Ridley. Now, Ridley's gone, and you see Tua Tagovailoa, he gets in there, and he spreads the rock around. I mean, it was a huge disparity between the number of catches Ridley had and the second place. The second place was a running back, Bo Scarborough. So these young men understand they've got a guy possibly under center who's going to spread the wealth around. And I like these wide receivers as well. Alabama, as you said, coming in, they just reload, and they've reloaded with 3 good ones here.
Down in Texas A&M, Jimbo Fisher won't have to look far to replace second-round draft pick Christian Kirk. Jamon Osmond has the potential to be the real deal. Jimbo has said he's impressed. Will Osmond, coach, help Jimbo succeed in his first season?
I think he will. You see right here him laying out for a football, does a good job of separating with the defender, coming back for the football, good fundamentals. And I tell you, quick screens, all these things. This guy here's a physical guy after the catch. I like the way he plays.
And to that point, Coach, these receivers keep getting bigger and bigger. 6'2", 220.
Ridiculous.
He used to be a tight end when I was playing, man. But you're right. The majority of his yards, they came in the latter part of the season, but he's a huge target. And Nick Starkel, who will probably be the starting quarterback again, will use him as his safety blanket.
All right, he played his junior season at St. Thomas before spending his senior season at IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida,
St. Thomas,
where he was a teammate of A&M quarterback
Can I go play
Kellen
over there?
Mond. So keep that in mind with Osmond going forward. All right, Oklahoma State has the tough task of replacing last season's Biletnikoff winner and Pittsburgh Steeler James Washington. Cowboys have young talent on the roster, but can anybody, Aaron, step up to be the next generation star the Cowboys are going to need down?
The thing with this offense, you know their identity. They're going to throw the ball. They're going to spread you out. And when you watch this conference defensively, it's almost like a 7-on-7 pillow fight, in my opinion. So these receivers, they're going to get open. They're going to make plays. They're going to throw the ball 40 to 50 times a game. And I think they have plenty of talent to kind of spread it out.
Dog the Big 12.
It is a
I saw Oklahoma take your Bulldogs to the break.
Hey, they saw Sonny and Nick, and they're like, we don't want none of this.
You got Texas and Kansas State right over here.
They were doing the Olay.
And Oklahoma State right there. You're surrounded by Big 12.
It's a pillow fight, man. It's
Everyone's talking about who's going to replace James White. I'm not so sure you can replace someone of that talent. But Jalen McClaskey, I played with his dad in the NFL with the New Orleans Saints.
That was a long time ago.
If he's anything like his dad, and I'm sure he is, he's tough, and he's going to be physical. Even in that small body of his, he's a guy that I think you need to focus on as well.
Mike Gundy's done a good job of recruiting. And those receivers are going to be just fine. You mentioned James Washington. Maybe not the speed and the toughness physical yet, but these guys as a group, very, very good.
All right, Coach. I don't know if you
Pillow fight.
This is your next generation. You know, Christian Kirk for 5 years. I mean, you said his name about 1,000 times.
Yes.
This is the next one I'm predicting.
That was his guy.
It's going to come out of your mouth 1,000 times.
Yes.
Down in South Carolina, the hype surrounding Deebo Samuel can't get any bigger. The redshirt senior has been part of the next generation of SEC receivers for the past 2 seasons. But an injury cost him the final 10 games last season. Can the preseason all-SEC selection stay healthy and turn in the numbers he is capable of?
Deebo, stay healthy. I would sign one coach to him. Make sure he's in the cold tub. Make sure he's stretching. Get everything right because, guys, he is electric. He can do it special team-wise. I don't care. Quick screen, take a 6-yard hitch, turns it into 60. He can get it done.
I mean, this team, they're loaded. They're a great defense. They have a really talented quarterback. They got another receiver in Edwards who's also going to balance things out a little bit. Like you said, this guy, you can put him anywhere. You can put him at the Wildcat quarterback. You can put him at kick return, punt return. Put him on defense. I don't care. This kid is the best player on that team.
Upset alert, second game of the season.
I'm right. It's going to be interesting. At South Carolina, too.
The second senior on our next generation watch list, Penn State's Juwan Johnson, only caught 1 touchdown pass last season, the game winner against Iowa. But the folks in Happy Valley hope he's going to step up of their own, with Roquan Smith taking his 137 tackles to the league this season. Kirby Smart is looking to sophomore Monty Rice to fill that gap. What do you think of Monty Rice?
Hey, listen, you need someone there who's the leadership role, the guy who's going to be in the huddle, calling the plays. This guy had the opportunity to get in there last year, make some plays. He's a guy that can go from sideline to sideline, has the speed, has the athleticism. Is he a Roquan Smith? I don't think anyone's a Roquan Smith.
Yeah.
Listen, and we talked about earlier in the show, just be who you are. Don't try to be Roquan, because I don't think anyone can be that kid.
No.
I tell you what, this guy's going to be a great in the middle for this
That
defense.
look like you, BJ.
No.
You look like you.
Maybe on one play. Yeah, that's how I had it.
all that matters.
But to your point, you can't be someone else. You have to be who you are, but you can learn a lot from a Roquan Smith. And I think you see that ability there to go sideline to sideline and always be in the picture frame.
Coming back at you, because in Columbus, Ohio State has to replace this year's 4th overall pick, Denzel Ward. The Buckeyes have a collection of talent and experience that should help and lessen that loss. Redshirt junior Kendall Sheffield looks to lead the way in that department.
Yeah, here's a guy that was originally a Bama DB. And, last year he had 40 tackles and 9 pass breakups, so they're going to look for more from him. And speaking of playing behind some great ones, he did that a season ago. And you see him here at the big ball game versus Oklahoma. Actually, that's Indiana. Looked like Oklahoma, didn't it? But another tall DB with a ton of athleticism, has those great hips, and makes plays on the ball, and he's where he's supposed to be. So a heady football player will allow you to play out there on that island.
I tell you what, these tall defensive backs, when as a quarterback you look out there and you see a 6'2", 6'3" corner, you're like, no long arms. They can get their hands on the receivers initially. Length is key in this game right now. That's why you'll see more and more of those 6'2", 6'3" guys.
Call off the fade route.
Yeah,
call off the fade when you
out.
see that.
They know it's coming.
All right, how do you replace 347 pounds of dominant run defender? If you're Washington and you're replacing 12th overall pick Vita Vea, you look for confidence first and foremost in Levi Ozarike. He oozes confidence, oozes a tough name, but pound for pound, a really talented guy. The redshirt sophomore has said Vita leaving shouldn't make a difference to us. Someone has to step up. Will that someone be Levi, the 282-pound one-man wrecking crew? Coach, what do you think?
He looks really good, and he gets off blocks. He's very quick. Now, Vita was a different animal. Now, that was a big man, but this guy, outstanding player, he's only going to get better, and I think the team follows him.
Well, they've got 4 coming back that have starting experience, and don't forget about Greg Gaines. This guy's played since he was a true freshman there at the University of Washington, so you got a true senior on that D-line as well. So you can't replace a Vita Vea. I mean, he just eats up space and would-be blockers, but I think they've got enough coming back to where they won't hurt that much up front.
I like Levi's moxie, saying, hey, we're fine, bring it on. In Blacksburg, the Hokies have 2 gaping holes to fill after both Edmonds' brother, Tremaine, and Terrell were drafted, both brothers.
Number 1.
But a Bud Foster defense. Whenever you talk about this defense, you have to say Bud Foster. They rarely leave the cupboard bare. Rayshard Ashby and Dylan Rivers are embracing their roles as Tremaine's replacement. Khalil and Divine